Welcome to DC Shorts International Film Festival 2020 edition. I'm Peter Morgan, the DC Shorts Executive Director. This year's festival is all online, and despite COVID-19, we're very excited to continue the tradition of filmmaker talkbacks for 17 years now, and this year virtually, of course. I'd like to thank upfront the DC Shorts Director of Programming, Joe Balancio, for joining us today for the Q&A, and I'd like to thank the filmmaker, Tomar Shushan, for whose film, White Eye, is currently screening in DC Shorts 2020 Showcase number 5. Just go to dcshorts.com and click through to Showcase number 5. I'd also like to thank one of our major funders, the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities. And I'd especially like to thank the Embassy of Israel to the United States, whose generosity in sponsoring Showcase number 5 in DC Shorts 2020 is very much appreciated, and this Q&A is brought to you by the Embassy of Israel. Joe?
Thank you, Peter. Well, as you said, we're very excited to have Tomar with us. Look forward to talking. So often we have these big, huge Q&As, and they tend to be these mass things. So I'm really excited about sort of the intimate discussion with you, Tomar. So let's just start. As Peter mentioned, the Embassy of Israel has always been a huge supporter of the festival, and they really get into it. It's not just like, yes, they'll do it because they're a part of the community, we're part of the community. They get really excited about film. Is film in Israel an important thing? Is it like date night? Do people really get excited and go to the theater and make it an evening? Is that something, or is that truly unique to us in the States?
Well, first of all, good afternoon. For your question, I think, yeah, there is lots of cinemas. There is lots of people that like to go to cinema. It's like very popular, something to do here. People like film and appreciate good films. Also, there is in Israel, which is small country for about 9 million people, there is about 17 or 18 film schools. So it also make lots of filmmakers. Every year there is more and more filmmakers, and also lots of talented one the last few years. So, and most of them based on the budget that the government give through free, film foundations, and I can say that there are lots of really good short films that coming out every year. The film foundation support lots of short films, regarding long films, there are also, it's like a bit more hard to get money for it, but still there are also from year to year more and more Israeli films, and the crowd and the audience in Israel really like it, and I can see why, because it's the quality is getting better in each year.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Do you see, you obviously mentioned, so you do see a difference, and it seemed like themes for so often were so conflict driven, and now it seems like films from Israel sort of expanded in reach and their notoriety and sort of acceptance worldwide. Do you see that as well, from being sort of on the inside of that? I'm on the outside.
I see that lots of films in Israel starting to catch eyes from outside, which is something that it's, I think, happening more and more the last 10 years. Every film participate in festivals outside, something that didn't happen a lot, I don't know, 15 years, 10 years ago. And now I think there is something about the Israeli reality, maybe the Israeli filmmakers that can bring this reality, that catch the eyes of the audience outside of Israel. And I think it's a blessing because it's also can give more money to the filmmakers and to the Film Foundation to support these filmmakers. And I think it's very important for this scene in Israel to develop and to to get more and more strong and there.
Yeah, I agree. I've watched the growth of Israeli cinema for a long time, and I'm happy to see that it's finally getting its rewards, because it's always been great, but as you said, it's even, you know, getting that much better. You mentioned film school. Is that your background? Is that where your training came?
Yeah, well, I studied in Tel Aviv in a private college named Minshar, which is I started, I think, in 2011, and I finished in 2016, and I made a graduation film. And then when I was like after it, I knew that I really want to make more films, and um, I tried to send scripts to all this film foundation until I got money for this one, and this is my first film independent after film school. Yeah.
Did you see like a change, like from your first film, which was done as a student, and then sort of even your progression now, and you look back and go, ah?
Yeah, of course. I see it a lot. I actually think that the graduation film is something that made me learn how to make films, and like was the finalized moment for me, that I was repped by teachers and mentors. And when I was out of this comfort zone, making film by myself with no one around me, um, it was so difficult, but the challenge was amazing and brought the best out of me.
Well, I only saw the end result, and it was fantastic. So I'm, you know, I would have loved to follow the transition, but congratulations again. And the film is Oscar qualified, correct?
Yeah, that's true.
And that was by, I don't think our audience necessarily knows that there are multiple ways, but one of the ways to get Oscar qualified is by being presented at and winning an award at a Oscar accredited festival. And was that South by Southwest?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. That's amazing. Where did the story come from? Let's move to Wide Eye, sort of away from Israeli cinema in general, and let's get down to the nitty gritty of Wide Eye, which was fascinating and beautiful and epic all in one. So again, thank you for doing it and for letting us show it. But how did the story come to be? Because you're the writer as well, correct?
Yeah. So it's really interesting story. It was on the day of the deadline of sending script to the film foundation, and I was working on some script for like 3 months for a short film that I really want to make. And on the way to finalize the script and send it before the deadline is over, this story actually happened to me in the street. I saw my bicycle that got stolen a few months before, and while I needed really to like go to see my mentor and work about the script, I found myself in this situation, and it happened so fast, and so it was so crazy, and I was so overwhelmed. So the moment this story finished, it didn't finish like the film, but almost. I met my mentor and I told her like what just happened to me, and she told me, okay, just sit, write it, and we can still send it. I think it's like much better. I think it's like amazing idea to make a film about it. Also because it's like fresh and just happened to you, and you're gonna write it with all the passion and the drive. And I wrote it in 40 minutes, and we sent it that night. And since then, it's history. I got the money, and I made a film.
That's great. That's crazy. Both the story and the fact that it got done that fast for such, what you see on the end is just like, wow. So that's incredible. We have a saying that truth is stranger than fiction. And that seems to be here. It's both truth and fiction, but it's true.
Yeah, it's true. And the situation was so hard for me that like when it just finished and I was after it, that I felt that I need to solve something. And I think that in this film, I kind of solve it with the end that you will see or you saw. Um, and that's it. And it was, I can tell you that this situation made me think that this story have to be out there, that people will see it, and I'm sure that everyone can find themselves with the hero or with the other guy, or um, yeah.
Yeah, that's the crazy things. I mean, it's an absurd story. You know, people keep asking you, is it your bike? How do you know it's your bike? Well, I know it's my bike. You know, and everyone is sort of right because it's your bike, yet Younes acquired the bike what he thought was the right way. So it's just, you know, who is right, and is somebody righter than others? And how do you, I mean, how did you make sure that that came through? Because it did. It was like frustrating that it's like everybody is right.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the point of this film, that when two sides right, like the justice and the truth can be for two people, even though they fight for one thing. And yeah.
Yeah, and you port and the portrayal of Eunice as a family man who, you know, has the bike to take his daughter to kindergarten, and it was like, again, it sort of made, I think a lot of people may not have looked at him as a you know, as a real sort of human character, and you humanized him. And I think that's, so you didn't villainize him as an illegal, and in fact you didn't really even get too deep into that. It was just sort of part of the story. And you know,
Yeah.
the rest of the illegals in the freezer, you didn't, again, overpower that concept. You just sort of let it happen. And I thought that was brilliant.
For me, one thing that was super important in this film is not to put any character in a different level. I mean, the point is that everyone are humans, everyone are equals, everyone have something to say, everyone have something to feel, and I couldn't think of making this film when some guy is like, you know, like the poor guy, and like, to put it like, as a director, to put it like obvious to I wanted everyone who will give their voice in equal level, because that's what I believe, and that was the first thing that I came out when I was directing it.
Yeah, and I love I love the other assorted characters, like the guy who's playing in the band who gives you his disc saw, and the other guy who you try and sort of rope into your, you know, help me out of the situation. And they're sort of, you know, whether they understand or not, they were helping you. And I thought that that was, again, another interesting tone where, you know, do they believe him? Maybe not, but they're willing to help because you're another human. And I found, again, that that was very sort of empathetic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do have a question about what I guess you'd call her, the lady of the night or the prostitute, and sort of the point, and because she kept appearing and reappearing. Was
Yeah.
that just a diversion from what was going on, or was it the fact that here you are dealing with this situation, but there are other, you know, crimes being committed at that time, or, you know, what was her sort of role in the?
Yeah, I think both of the answers are correct. First, I really wanted to create like a shady world um, in Tel Aviv, in the south of Tel Aviv. It's like something that's really authentic to this area, people who know it, and I also wanted to show that other stories happening while a person think he's like the main thing, like the most important, and what's happened to him, it's like, but horrible things happened around him and no one can see it. um, so it was also important for me to create a world that it's full authentic, and um, because I believe that every story, every situation that's happening, something also happening around. It's like lots of stories inside one every time, and that's part of the things that I wanted to create as a director, as a filmmaker, to create an authentic world that will put you, the audience, in that place, um, in that moment, and yeah, in the world that I created. Yeah.
And you did, and it's funny because Peter and I were talking about the film earlier, and he sort of, you know, was commenting on the setting and the grit, and it's funny because I'm not familiar with that area yet, and he looked at it as this really sort of gritty, and I was looking at it as like this, oh, it's a warehouse district somewhere like that are getting now these fancy, but it's interesting to hear the story of the setting and how it actually plays a role in the film. Was it one take, or was it just made to look like one take?
It was one take.
How was that? Because that was
Uh,
phenomenal. I love when you follow and, you know, you turn the corner, and just the way the style really, I think, added to sort of the grit and the fervor of the film.
well, first, as a director, I thought of the character of me, what happened to me there, what I felt. And I felt that I didn't have time to breathe and to be reasonable, to understand the situation and work the right way. I didn't have the time because I got panicked so much. And that sentence was always in my mind, that I didn't have time to breathe. And I think that cuts in films give the audience a moment to breathe, to see some other angle. And I wanted to be like one angle, the audience, everyone gonna be with this character with no time to breathe, and to understand that it's all like panic that leads him. And yeah, so I wanted to do it in one shot. It was very challenging. We worked, I made lots of rehearsals. It was like to create choreography of some dance, you know, because it's like everyone need to know where to go, all the crew, the cameraman, the lightman, the soundman, me, like the actors, and it was lots of rehearsals until we found the right way to do it. And then we went to shot it in one night, and we had 6 takes. And I think that this one is the one before the last.
Wow, that's fascinating. Yeah, because like I said, it was so important, I think, to just getting into the story and the characterization. And how did you find the cast? Because I don't know if casting is very different than for a feature than a short, but they were fascinating. They were, again, very good at what they did, and you really felt sort of their agony at the times they were agonizing, and you know, from top to bottom, they were really just phenomenal.
Yeah, I don't know, looked for them and met them, and it was very. I knew it from the first moment, which each one of them, when I got to meet them. The interesting story is about Yunas. It's I already worked with a professional actor, but something felt not right, because I really wanted to bring this feeling and these characters that are all the time afraid of their spot, and all the time afraid because they're not illegal. Their existing is illegal, and it's crazy that they live 24 hours like this. And I felt that I really need to meet a guy like this, and to tell him this story. And that's when I met Dawit. It was like in 3 a.m. and I saw him flipping hamburgers in some restaurant in Tel Aviv. And I came to the window and I knocked and I told him, listen, I looked at him for 1 hour, and I knew that something in him make me feel, because he has such a sad eyes, and I really liked it about him. And so at the beginning he didn't understand what I'm talking about. He even didn't speak Hebrew, but I convinced him to meet me. And the other day we met for coffee, and I told him the story, and he felt so good to maybe have the chance to bring his voice for his community, and we worked on it together. And I teach him Hebrew for this film, and we worked for 7 months, just me and him, um, in this location 2 times a week, and it was great. I can tell you that he's in all the takes, he's amazing from take to take. Like, he never did like any, you know, any take didn't stop because of him. You know, it's amazing. He was the most professional. He was, and since then I knew that I should appreciate more the fact, and I really want to work more in the future with non-actors that I really feel connected to their personality, and yeah.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that is probably you and the comfort level he had with you, whether he's always that comfortable or whether he would always be that comfortable, or whether other non-actors. I think that's, you know, that's a feather, we call it a feather in your cap, that he felt that comfortable to get the what you got out of him. So, you know, congratulations to you. One of the things I found fascinating was I never looked at Omar as a racist. I looked at Omar as, I want my bike back. And even when things sort of led you to the point that you might have thought he was, to me, he never was. Can you talk a little bit about sort of walking that line between having this, you know, racist overtone without being that person?
I think that Omar playing the character of me, and so I can tell you that all my life I couldn't hear or like be next to a person that's saying something a bit racist, and that's why this story hit me so hard, you know, because I think that if the person in front of me, it's something subconscious, you know, when you see a person and you're like working from your instinct and not from your mind and from your personality, like something deep inside you, acting like in an animalistic way, you know. And I felt that it could be different if this guy was like a citizen like me, you know. Maybe I would talk to him a bit different. And it kills me to know that's the situation, that because this guy, I saw him and I recognized that he's a refugee here, and I allowed myself to talk to him and to already decide that he's the thief inside of me. I didn't even like talk to myself. I just decided. It was like obvious to me. While I was after it thinking about it, and it killed me to know that I was I judged him so fast, and that's one of the things that I can really appreciate by this story that happened to me as a person, that changed me as a person. That now, no matter what's going to happen to me in life, this trauma that I've had and also this guy had, but for me, it will affect me in that way that I would never work and talk to a person and decide something and judge something before I think. And yeah, I'm really happy that from this moment that I experienced in my life, this guy at the end didn't, nothing happened to him. And also this film came out and maybe can show lots of people. That's why I'm really happy that it's spreading all over the world right now, and will teach people to understand and to feel what I felt and what I feel and what I want to say, that that's not how people should treat each other, no matter what.
Well, and I think that was evident. As I said, it's you're not really hitting anyone over the head with it. It just sort of, you let the actors and the characterization and the story sort of be told, and then you realize that this is, you know, racism is silly. Treating people, you know, differently because of their status, it just doesn't make any sense. So thank you for doing that. What's the title? So Wide Eye, what does that, how does that reflect?
Actually, I thought about it today again. I don't know why in the street, but the first thing, like in the film, Jonas have like a white eye. I don't know if people can see it, but like some people can see it. I really wanted to be like not super obvious, but he have one eye that is that's white, and also I think that white eye means blind, and I think that the actor was blind to this situation and also saw it through a white person eye. So it's like combination of all of these things.
Yeah, and now that that's even a more powerful sentiment now that I think about it, and as it relates to the film, it's perfect. We don't have too much time left, but I definitely want to be sure and find out what you're working on now. What can we look for from Tomar next?
Okay, so these days I'm developing White Eye to a feature film.
Yay.
Yeah, it's not gonna be all this story, but it's gonna start like this, and then this character are gonna meet in the future, and something really crazy gonna happen between them, and it's gonna have a good ending, I can tell you. And also, I'm working on a TV series that I'm writing for almost 2 years. And now I'm trying to find producers that will take it on. And since the winning side, the winning Southwest Southwest, I'm getting lots of scripts, and people really give me lots of offers to direct things. So I'm looking very carefully what I really want to do, and maybe I'll also gonna do it. And I'm planning also to come to the States, and that's my dream, to work there and to make films there.
Do you prefer writing or directing, or do you want to keep doing both? Do you have a preference? If somebody said you could be one or the other, or are they just equally?
I really prefer to direct. I think that it's more natural to me, but I really like also to write, and it's like some kind of therapy, and I feel that I can solve all my stories and issues there. And then to direct it, it's amazing, but I just like to deal with both of these things.
We hope you keep doing them both. Finally, and I think you sort of alluded to this, to what the answer might be, but what are your takeaways from the film? What do you really want people to think about as they leave? What, going out of the theater, what do you want them to resonate in their mind?
I really want them to see that every person have good side and bad side, and that it will reflect to them, and people will try to put themselves in the main character shoes, and to understand, as I said before, that we all should treat people equally, and that one word or one small act that you don't think it's going to harm anyone can kill or ruin someone else's life. Yeah.
Well, Tomar, Shushan, thank you very much. Keep making films, preferably short films, so you can sometime come to the festival in person. We'd love to have you. Thank you for allowing us to screen the film, and good luck with the Oscar qualification. We'll be rooting for you. Thank you again. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.